Well, hello and welcome back. Today, I want to see about getting, the Eternal Stella actually being automated here. Which would be the next big step. So, the way I need to go about that is, there's only one thing I'm really missing from being able to automate that. And that is nether stars. Because I need to make stellarite, which means I'm going to need to send all nether stars up into the sky to make that. So that's fun. And nether stars, well, there's two ways to go about that. I could hand make 1,000 nether stars using the tome, whatever that tome is, to be able to duplicate them, which would take a lot of fuel. It's doable, but it'll take a while. Or I could automate making the wither, killing it to get that, which might be a bit more doable. So, first off, let's get something here. I'm going to need to get soul sand being automated. Which honestly isn't too hard. Because all I need to do is bulk haunt sand, any sand into soulless sand, and then I need to push that underneath a wraith to get the soul sand. And then you pick that up and place that deploy into deploys to do certain things with. So that is simple enough. Pretty sure I have sand here. Which I could get out. Or I could just make another igneous extruder and multi-servo. Or I can just get another multi-servo press and pull it in from the igneous extruder. It might be easier to get sand, which we then bulk haunt into solid sand. Okay, yeah, let's grab that. Okay, so if this goes where I expect it to, plonk this down here, throw the unpacking die in here, say, hey, auto input from here. I could actually auto output to the depot over here. So I'll auto output sand onto here, which will then do get haunted. We will then grab a drawer here. Set this up with a puller and a pusher, which we'll get that set up later. So it'll pull from here, push to a deployer here. So I'll deploy solar sand here, which will then have a piston set up to move this automatically around to along to where we'll have, like, say, the wraith on top here to go over. Eventually we'll have a mechanical drill here, so it gets pushed into here, gets drilled up, picked up and sent on over to somewhere else. Probably should have a vault or something here-ish. Why do I do that? That we can just read the levels out from here, go onto a clutch to stop the drill, which hopefully this doesn't get moved by piston. Find out. Wait, there, yep. And that will get us the soul sand. Cool. Which will then get a very specific setup to actually get the wither ore being made, because, yeah. So I've got the soul sand set up to be making production up and running. We're getting a decent amount of soul sand here. So what I need to do next is, get up the next part, which is going to be with skeleton skull production, which means I'm going to need to get plenty of skeletons here, which means plenty of bone meal, which I can get from crushing I could just pulverize it. or just get it from doing that, because crushing it's not really worth it. I have to get rid of the dye, which isn't too bad, but then I have that. So what I'll just do is get a pulverizer to crush it to get bone meal, which then I can then, well, probably use a simple compacting drawer to make the blocks of bone, which will then be put onto a block cutter, mechanical saw, to make, well, one of these skeletons will then be distributed to two inserters to make everything else here. So the skeleton one isn't going to be too hard, so we're just going to need to have something a bit simple set up here. We've got that for deploying the skeleton, that one for deploying the soul, and then this one for attacking with one of these netherite swords, which I need to apply the eternal stellar. So that comes out here. And because it's just normal skeletons, we don't need to worry about anything else. We will need to worry about them taking burn damage, so we'll grab some dirt. So there we go. So skeleton will be spawned. Oh, yeah, skeleton be placed there. Spirit soul will be placed into it to make a boosted skeleton, which will then be attacked by here. We'll need to remove the bones from here and do that. The wither skeleton is going to take a bit more. It's going to be something similar, but I'm going to have an encased fan blowing it down onto a haunted, well, onto a soul fire, which then once on soul fire, it needs to be pushed onto a wither rose, make it into a wither skeleton, which we then need to kill it with. I probably need to put Fortune 3 onto a couple of these swords to get most out here. But then we'll get, from killing a wither skeleton, a couple of things here. Bones, which we can throw back in. Coal, which we can probably just dump in. Withered ribs, which could do something with. But yeah. Either way, we need a couple more here, so we could get this set up again. So this soul comes through here, goes over here, plonked onto there, where we also have the skeleton placed down into here. Have an encased fan on top here, blows through past on top of this soul sand, which will be lit on fire to get soul fire. Go through here, we'll then need to go onto there, which I'm going to need to get the wither rose placed down. Like so. Then you'll also attack it with that, because as soon as it steps onto there, it should turn to wither skeleton, so that's fine. Okay, we'll swap this over to attack. Same with you, so you both attack, that's good, that goes through, check. What I'll do is probably have a couple shoots on top here with a couple of belts to get that over, and then we can eject souls all the way over here. At least that is the plan here. Oh, and I need to also pull out from here everything else and throw them to appropriate spots. So, well, first off, let's make ourselves a couple of eternal netherite swords here. And then we'll figure something else out. So, I've also put Smite onto these netherite swords, Smite 5, so Because, well, everything that they're going to be attacking is classified as undead. So they'll get us the most damage out of it. So that works better. So, combine netherite sword with eternal stellar. We get an eternal netherite sword with smite 5 on it. Make that 2 of them. Cool. And that works out. I've got another 3 for the wither as well, which all have smite 5 as well, just to increase the amount of damage you get from it. So, throw that here. Throw that there. Check, plonk, plonk. Cool. I'm going to need to figure out how to get the wither rose, which has to be a flower mixed with liquefied resent on a heated blaze burner. Great. Oh, at least heated. Huh. Well, the flower's fairly easy because I can just use another phytogenic insulator to grow it. And of any old flower. And then the blaze burner. We've got a lava. Yeah, that's easy enough done. Because we've got a lava tube right there. We can easily divert some of it into another blaze burner with straw to provide heat. So, I'm just going to get that all built up. Which is going to take a little bit. Be right back. Okay. If I've done this correctly, this should be working properly here. So, what we've got is, well, the skeleton one, which is getting us the bones, which then go into here to monitor the levels, which then goes into a pulverizer to turn the bones into bone meal, which then gets compacted into bone blocks in the simple compacting drawer, which then goes through, gets turned into mechanical saw, through the mechanical saw, get turned into a sitting skeleton, which then goes through this brass tunnel, prioritizing the left lane to make sure we get plenty of skeletons there, and the right side will be, well, comes through for wither skeletons, which gets made, gets blown through there. Well, the skeleton, as you can see here, the skeleton gets haunted, goes onto wither flower, which then gets turned to wither skeletons, which the sword over there will attack them to get me some. Oh. Which I've got to do something here. Put this list on there. So let's try this again. Instead of hand doing that. So there we go. That goes through. We're getting a bunch of wood skeleton skulls, which I will want a threshold switch on there to turn off the salt application from there. Or, yeah. So when that gets to a certain level, it will turn it off like what I'm doing over here. Which is simple enough. So, let's actually just do this here. So, oh wait, I can't do that specifically right there. My wrench. So, throw the threshold switch here, check. We'll eventually have a redstone link on there, because that's already detecting all of that. We need another redstone link to plunk into this deploy here, because that's where I'm getting the souls from. Is there any redstone links I'm not using? We've got those. No. Okay, need another one. And there's another thing I was going to need to do here. Probably have to throw another one to detect how much is on this. So, this is, let's do base off of here. Can do anything with bones? Not really. Okay. With the bones there. Into redstone link here. listening on that channel. Cool. So I'll disable that when that gets filled up here. And I'll do the same over here. Disable that now. Oh, we've got plenty of wither roses, that's fine. But we wouldn't have filled up the vault in time with enough wither skeleton skulls to do this. So, to be able to refresh, because this is only producing them so fast, so that's fine. So that'd be reading level here. We'll invert the signal, so it'll move to the lower lane at 75%, then come back up at 25%. So it's disabled until it gets to a certain point here. So if we both have these on, this will stop the point of souls to stop making these skeletons. And that's how I'm stopping this at the moment. Oh, for the souls. So that works. So this will wait until, well, we get a stack of them in here because, yeah, threshold switch is not working quite nicely with the oak drawers in this specific version of functional storage. That's fine, but this works. So we're getting, with the skeleton skulls, we've got soul sand. And so now all I need to do, well, is get them being deployed and making it up and killing the withers. Which isn't too bad, because I've got an idea. I'll make it up, and I'll be right back once got done, because it is a fairly complicated machine to do. If I've done this correctly, this should work out to make nether stars for me, because we've got the soul sand going here into these 4 deploys here, all hooked up to redstone links, which are all listening to this one here, so it'll only turn off when a nether star goes past. So that will install that only, it'll place down once. Same for the wither skeleton skull deploys up here. Well, getting the wither skeleton skulls from over here. So they'll fill up and only do it once per nether star that goes past. And then we've got all these deploys with netherite swords set to attack mode, which will, well, kill the wither, and then these belt funnels will remove the nether stars from the deploys and send them over into these 2 chutes going all the way up to building, because we need to throw the nether stars above Y level 320. So they go all the way up. There's an accumulator on the other one set to filter out only stellarite pieces, which then comes down and goes into its iron vault here, which will then eventually have to set this up to go to a Hephaestus forge with a bunch of speetrified ore and netherite to make eternal stellar. So, and it's bringing from the smart observer here. So if this works correctly, all I need to do to get this running is throw another star here. Yep. Which we got the withered spawn. And this should be just barely big enough to hold the wither in there without being released. And then bang. And because these hardened glass is immune to wither, it is perfectly safe in there. And there we go. Let's go through. Oh. Something happened there. Yeah, that was bound to be the case. If I do that, should do it. Yeah. Essentially this works, but I probably should have it so that the soul sand goes down, then the wither skeleton goes down after the soul sand's down, but it's fun. So I have a feeling some of these deployers have soul sand in them. So Great. Probably all of them. But why are these not listening? I've got to solve some issues here, but that's the general gist of how this works. I need to actually delay all these. We'll do one last thing here. We'll get the eternal stellar automation up and running, because that's actually fairly easy to do here. Because all I need to do, it uses the same trick of what we're doing for the spawning of the wither. It's just that each of these, so over here, we'd have a deploy on top of each of these polished darkstone pedestals. One feeding in, hopper feeding in netherite into here, and another deploy over it for the gavel. So let's quickly set this up, and that will allow me to automate eternal stellar from everything over there. Okay, so this is how we're going to go about it. We're going to have a hopper feeding into here, but this is going to have a redstone signal to disable it, coming from the redstone link that's going to be connected up to it. We'll have another hopper on top, because that's going to feed the netherite down into this hopper. That's good. And we need that so we can actually keep the structure in line. So we're going to have would have the netherite ingots coming through here. We can have dirt there to stop the netherite ingots from hopping off. That comes over there. We need the deploys on top of each of these pedestals here. Check. Like so. Like that. We also need one on top here. Cool. We do it like so. So 5 of these are going to be putting expetrified orbs into here, which isn't too hard. The 6th one's going to be putting stellarite pieces, which we'll get from over there. This one's going to have a blacksmith gavel on there. I'm not sure whether... Oh yeah, no, that's why I made this one here. So I'm just going to throw a eternal stellar on it, so that should make it an eternal blacksmith, diamond blacksmith gavel. And so that will activate that whenever it gets a redstone signal, which we're going to get from these here. We're going to set up a simple way of transmitting the power through everything here. That's actually way simpler than what I had before. So we just need to provide, well, stress rotation units to one of these. Cool. This will be taking in the netherite. We're going to need to provide what other things. We'll have one set up with a brass funnel to filter out eternal stellar, and we need a number of unstackable items in there so that we can, well, get fed in. So probably the simplest one I could go for. Let's just go for some stone swords. I think we need like 4 of these, so we'll just go with these stone swords here. And if we feed them all into this hopper here, they all go into the internal inventory. And yeah. So then the next one goes into that top one there. Perfect. Essentially what that's done, it is filled up each of these slots here with a sword. I don't need to worry about anything else because the aura generation is coming from these two arcane crystal obelisks here. So that generates aura to go into these. Cool. Let's get rid of everything that's necessary. And the expetrified orbs, well, that's just any of the blocks of experience we get. And just being hammered down 10 times, pressed down 10 times to make a expetrified orb. And so let's just see how I go about this. Because we have a nice source of experience there. And we need to split up into 6 of these. We need to get the stellarite pieces over here as well. And also feed the netherite over. If I've done everything correctly here, we should have blocks coming through here, which I should actually set this to 1. But yeah. Which gets me a lot of expetrified orbs being made here. I probably should speed this up. But they all go into these chutes, feeding into the deployers to get everything there. Stellarite pieces. Yeah, I can do that. So we give you some of that because this is probably backed up all in expetrified orbs, so that's good. With no excess going there, we need netherite. So if we throw the netherite in here, that technically should allow it to go in there. Oh, it's from that one there as well. Okay, yep. I understand. But actually in a bad spot. But I don't need this here because it is expetrified orb. Cool. There's a reason why I want these all to only activate once. You and you. Listening. Perfect. Okay, so that should be dumping all the netherite into. Perfect. Okay. So, let's test this out to make sure that this works. One here. You there. Connect you up. Like so. Well, that didn't quite work. Why didn't that activate? Oh, there's no expetrified orbs in this one here. That's why. Okay, why aren't there? Expetrified orbs not being deposited in here. Okay, not working from there. What about over from here? What's going on there? No wonder. I put the chute on top of a gearbox. So that should go here. That goes there. There we go. Now we get the XP orbs there, placed down. And we activate it. Oh, no wonder we've got 4 netherite that went in there. Here we go. And so then this should work. Ostensibly. And that's kind of how the automation will work. It takes like 25 seconds to actually automate that to go through. Oh, I know why, because I can't let this be, I have to let that be on for bare minimum time. So, before that goes through here, I want to see how fast this is going in which direction. So by having this running at the max speed, which that's going in the wrong direction. Okay. Perfect. Should be an allow list. And there we go. That is how I would automate it. As long as we've got stellarite pieces going into there and expetrified orbs going into here, netherite going into here, this will automate eternal stella, which would then go over here. And that would work, because then the amount of Oriole that gets regenerated from these arcane crystal obelisks is able to keep up with the amount that would be used, because it uses up 20 Oriole every time it does this. That's fine. So I'll call it the end of the episode here, so you can comment, like, subscribe down below. Really helps out with YouTube discovery and whatnot. And that. Thank you all for watching. Catch you all next time.